asked the bot who might be the facilitator. Harshard, thanks for taking it.
Awesome. So let's start. So let's go with the first topic, Python ecosystem, staying with Project Toml and asking question about it. Max, do you want to start with some description?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Basically, recently there was some issue about that, and I was wondering what was the the overall how can I say that? What do we want to do regarding this? Do we want to push it in our project, and more important in a project like Ebeshet, which consume Python metadata? What stance are we going to have regarding this? Are we going to push forward for let's say at some point deprecate other means to get the version, for example? So that was my thinking, that we have two point of view regarding this. So our own packages and the rest of the Python ecosystem, and do we have an idea or not? That's why I put that as one of the subject.
I would say let's stay current. So if PEP 517 is the thing to do, let's do it. If we need to change Kebeshet, and that is how I understood the second point, if we need to change Kebeshet so that it can update the PEP 517 based version strings, I think it's a string again, right? Let's add it as a feature. I like that. Moving to PyProject Toml seems to be the thing that we need to do. I don't know how much effort that is. Is there tooling for automatically converting things? Is it just an add-on that we could template, an additional file that we could template? I think in one of the issues you said something like I can script it, so it's not really a large human effort, isn't it?
The scripting was to create the issue, not to
it's just the issue. Damn it. But in general, the PyToml, the PyProject Toml is a pretty generic file, so it feels like it could be the same all over our repositories. So it should be easy to create too, right?
Yeah, mostly. And the other part regarding the producer, I think about that because well, in the Kebeshet issue, we have several ways to find the Western string and updating it. Sorry, and I'm not sure any of those are standardized or something, but there is apparently a multitude of source from version in the Python ecosystem, and from what I understand from the PEP, the idea is to centralize so how someone consume a version. So using the output of not really of PyProject but of build tools essentially. And that was also my question. Well, not my question, but my kind of interrogation. But that's not very clear what I say.
So what is it just related to how we version stuff or how we create releases?
It is in regards to versioning. So Cavishet updates the version. It requires the version to stay in few places. If it is not in those few places, it will not update it because it doesn't recognize them. Uh, so there are like list of files like init. You can mention
Yeah.
it in init.py or version.py. The suggestion here is to extend it to have setup config or py project terminal, things like that.
Yeah, but that is basically just tooling, right? So we just need to extend the version manager so that it can also find and add and increment version strings over there in different files. But Max, you're not talking about doing releases in a different way, right?
Well, if we handle release that way, I think, well, I open an issue about that, but we should separate updating the version and doing release, because there is some way to updating the version that we're probably not going to do in Kibeshet. Like, for example, you can handle the version with git tags, and it's for some people it will be simpler to just add a tag and not open an issue for tell Kibeshet to create a version, for example. But maybe they still want to use it for release.
Yes, I think that is compatible, right? Because in the end, you could remove the can't you remove the manager who's reacting on the issues to create a tag and to create a release and just have a human being create the tag and all the workflows kick in? I don't know. That might be a question to Kevin.
I think I lost the thread a bit. So the issue opens and the version strings changed, and we talked about creating a tag release after that pull request is merged. In terms of creating the tag release before you have to update the version before you create a new tag release in the files. Otherwise, the version is out of date from the tag is different from the version in the files, right? So you have to update the version.
Correct, but I could do all that stuff manually, right? If I'm gonna increase the version string or increment the version string, and I create git tag on the repository that is basically independent from the Tecton pipelines, the AICU ECI pipelines, which create the artifact on PyPI.
Yes. Yeah. The
Yes.
tag release is what kicks off the pipeline.
Yes.
I was unclear about what the question for changes, other than changing what files that the version manager acts on is all.
Yes, exactly. That is what I think I was heading to. For Kibeshet, there are no changes, right? If you don't want Kibeshet to maintain your git tags and your version strings and all that stuff, don't do it. But you can also utilize the AICUE CI pipelines to generate artifacts on PyPI. And if we're going to change where, so in what file we're going to keep the version string, then we need to update the Kibeshet functionality a little bit. I think that is what we should do. So updating our repositories to adhere to the PEP 517 thing, update the functionality of Kibeshet so it is able to maintain all that stuff. And from my point of view, separate from that activity, obviously human beings can use just a Git tag and create artifacts from that. That is not related to how we maintain version strings. Is that clear? I don't know.
Well, it can be related since you can use the tags as a version.
Mm-hmm. But that is not related to where I maintain the version string, right?
Well, it is, because what I mean is you can not have a version string in your code and be just use git tag that's something like a version dynamic in the PyProject file, and your version string is still available as well from within your code using I think it's input lib metadata or something.
So you're basically saying that you can have the version string dynamically generated based off of the Git tag during the release process, instead of maintaining a version string in the repository.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be an update to the AICOE release tooling.
I mean, for that, it doesn't look at where the version string is. It just, whenever there is a tag release, it tries to triggers and builds on the repository. So if the repository can be built locally, then it will build in that AIC pipeline as well. What I understand here is that if we want to move away from if you want to move away from the version string from a file, like it's all good, we can do it. We don't need to make changes. There are two parts here. One thing is to make changes in all the repositories and move away from it. Second would be to at least give the option for users to do that themselves and extend Kevishit with these new schemas, right? At least with PyProject Toml and setup.config.
Yeah. So, but I think I understand from the conversation that Kevishit does not handle release.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's why it
Okay.
doesn't matter.
So it would already works, in fact. Okay. So
All good. So if we can pull this next time in the sprint, that would be great. I think that's the suggestion here. Do you want me to do anything here and change anything? Or is it you will handle it in user experience? Sounds good. So any other thoughts on this before we move on? Awesome. So next topic, group programming. This link.
Yes, if you click on the link, it's going to filter for all the issues which are group programming things. On the last retrospective, we figured out, oh man, it would be cool if we do some more group programming. So this is just the reminder. If you're going to see something, label it group programming. This is this label is at the same time an offer and an ask. So if you think there's a good issue which is suitable for group programming, we don't call it pair programming because intentionally it might be 2 or 15 people coming together. Put the label on it. If you are looking for a little bit of help because you're supposed to deliver that issue or fix some issue, put the label on it and ask for group programming. So it's both directions, basically. As I said, just a reminder, use it. I was thinking about labeling each and every help labeled issue with a group programming, because that could be an offer to people which are doing Hacktoberfest. Something to think about. I don't know what your opinion is.
they are slightly different, right? Help. My understanding of help needed is nobody at the moment can work on it, so we need help from someone else. Group programming is okay. I can work on it by myself, but it would be good to share the experience and share the fun. Right?
Yes. Could be, yeah, that is why I was unsure. It could be both, right? If we're going to say we need help, but we are willing to partially help on it, it could be something for that. But yeah, I'm happy with not having every Hacktoberfest, not having every help labeled thing being labeled as group programming too. Yeah, just a reminder, put the label on it if you need help, put the label on it if you offer help. Done.
Awesome. Any other thoughts on the current topic? If not, let's move to the next topic. Add priority to Argo workflow. Kevin?
Yeah, this was just a possible suggestion for adding priority to Argo workflows. It's something that they support. That way we can have just a priority queue when it comes to Argo workflows. I'm not sure. There's some comments about starvation in the cases where we have too many high priority items, but I'm not sure if that would even be an issue.
So in terms of priority, I'm assuming this is on the Argo workflow side. So the workflow controller would be handling the priority and adjusting things in. We don't have, at least from what I see, is our bottleneck is not on the Argo workflow side. It's more on the investigator and Kafka side. Can like what I mean is multiple requests are staying there. Like that's where the priority should be assigned. Because if investigator is saying 10, um, it's sending out 10 workflows. Anyway, it's getting distributed into two different workflow controllers, right? The user one is going to the backend advisor one. So it is actually just looking at the user centric workflows. So
Okay.
technically all of them are in the same priority level.
Okay.
So if we could implement this into investigator where we say, okay, advisor run should be always on the priority. If the queue is full, then even if I mean it is anyway multi-threading, so it is checking all these things. But that's where we have a little bottleneck. That's what I mean.
Okay.
We are still creating the Argo workflow instances from an OpenShift template, right? Or how do we create an instance
Yes.
of an Argo workflow? Yes. Okay. So it would be easy to add in priority. As I understood it, it's simply just an attribute or a field to the Argo workflow. So we could do it while or
No, what Harshad was saying was that we already have two separate namespaces,
Yeah.
one for backend and one for infra, I think, for data ingestion. So there's no need to create priority on that side. I think he's saying the problem is that we're still butting up against the workflow limits in the cluster. So if we want to implement priority, it has to happen from investigator where those workflows are being scheduled.
Yes, understood. I was more thinking about the technical implementation, right? So if we read the OpenShift template and just before we create the workflow instance, we would simply put in the priority field in that case. Is that how we would do it?
It's more the the way you probably do it is adding priority to each of the topics on investigator set. Having different priority classes.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Yeah. If we were doing data ingestion and user requests in the same namespace, then we could do our workflow priorities, but it still wouldn't quite work because of those limits that we're butting up against. So because I forget how many it is, it's like 3,000 workflows, and on the data ingestion side, we're having to basically slow down the workflow scheduling. So the priority wouldn't work quite right because you're still having scheduling happening outside of the Argo workflow schedule.
So is there something to do? No.
I mean, in long term, we could include priority. So we have to just stick to one side. So let's just say user request, right? So if we are saying user request, we can add priority to advisor run so that if someone is triggering provenance, that doesn't take precedence over advisor run. Advisor run always run first.
Yes.
But currently we don't have that bottleneck because all of the runs which are happening in our production as of now is just advisor runs. So all of them have their own priority, right? We can't say Christoph gets priority because he's the manager, but I opened my request first for advisor run. So
Yeah.
I should also be treated equally. That's what I meant.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, in long term, we could have this because we have user request also multiple, like we have different user requests, which currently are not running, but we can have this. So this is a good issue. Just I'm not sure if this should be worked on right now.
I think we can close it. I don't think it's something that we need to implement right now.
So the reason why I think it it can stay is there is advisor and then there's Cabichet administrator, which both of them runs in backend.
Cabichet administrator should. Oh, I was. Eventually, that should no longer that workflow shouldn't happen anymore, but
Right.
I think it still is.
So like I mean, there is advisor and the Cabichet runs. Both of them happens in backend, and both of them are user centric. So we can do that and say advisor should get priority on Cabichet over Cabichet run. So technically, we can have this in a long term.
Yeah, actually, let's do that because, yeah. Can you make that comment and we'll make it just for those two workflows, adding priority there. So I think it would be better to have advisor runs take priority.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts?
Quick logistics thing. We mentioned tries accepted, priority important long term or something like that. Did I hear correctly?
I think
So
all this will be taken care in the user experience code. Just kidding.
okay.
Any other comments, thoughts? Okay, let's move to the next topic. Advisor doesn't give us stack info when OMS thrown. Christoph.
Yeah, this is just a ping. If we need to do something here, or if we just leave it in the backlog? Is it in the backlog right now? No, it's important soon. So there's a lot of comments on the issue itself. Question would be, do we need to take some action here?
I think that require the stuff about metrics on exit codes, which itself require a new release from Cubset metrics. So for now, I'd say we wait until that release is available.
So we're going to move it to the backlog and just qualify it as a feature then?
I don't know.
Or is it still a bug? So if it's a bug, we need to give it higher priority.
I don't think it's a bug because we cannot have a stack trace when we have a out of memory kill, but I'd take a look because I think maybe that needs a bit more refinement.
Okay. Yes. Then please do so. Okay, that's it on this one.
Any others? Anyone? Any comments? Something is wrong with my keyboard. Okay. Next, verify the solver metrics, sync, and details. I'll put some comments on this. It is all available. I just need to share the links and close this up. There is a link which shows how many packages are synced, and also on a dashboard which shows how many new solvers are there. I'm actually logged in, so I can show you. So our production one is a little down, but we can bring it up in some time. But we can, in stage, you can look for this metric. So if you go to .knowledge graph content metric, this is the dashboard. It shows you all the solvers here, what solvers are actually actively working in our stage. And they also show you the percentage of how many, what is the sync ratio. And if you want numbers, they also share you numbers in this way. There is more details here based on each solver, how many are solved, unsolved, what is the requirement. There is an estimate on how many days it takes, but currently there is an issue in that which we are working. But if you go to SLO, SLI, there is an estimate on how much time it takes, estimate time to solve package per solver per days. So there is this. This is a metric which we talked about in observability a week back. We just need to fix that, and this will show up again. So all of these information are here. I'll just put the details and close the issue. Any thoughts, questions?
Grafana, and I think it's ultimately Thanos on operate first is a little bit broken because of storage problems. Is that correct?
It is Prometheus, yes. I don't know, but if it is storage or not, I'm not sure.
Okay. So just republishing our dashboards is not solving anything, right?
What do you mean by republishing?
We could just bounce the version and let Argo CD redeploy the dashboard JSONs to Grafana, but I think that is not really the problem. It's the problem.
It's the metrics are not there. Dashboards are all up, just the metrics are not there.
Okay.
Yeah, you can work on it. Awesome. So next is sprint planning improvements, PEP, having a single adopt board.
Yeah, that's just mentioned in the SIG DevSecOps call. Wondering, it's a proposal to, instead of having multiple boards, what would you think? Do you think it would work if we use a single board and just filter by SIG label, depending on which SIG you're working on when it's time to work on SIG stack guidance, for example, or for example, yeah, this is the overall planning board, and this is this stuff that is showing right now is kind of an experiment to filter out only the SIG stack guidance issues, but that very same filter can be applied to any of the other tabs, and you can look at, for example, the sprints. If you look at the second tab, yes, that one. This is the overall sprint, but you can add a filter there to filter by label, and you can add label SIG stack guidance to continue with the example. And this would be the sprint planning for SIG stack guidance. The goal of the proposal is to have less redundancy, and when we do sprint planning, we have to look at the different boards, and there might be inconsistencies, and it has to be manually maintained on one side. And another thing is this also could give visibility on everything from a single place, so everybody could look at everything from a single place. The downside, of course, is this board would suddenly become very crowded. That's a proposal. And
I have no hard opinion on that one. It still feels like SIGs or working groups should be able to plan autonomously, but I also see the requirement for having an overarching level setting or goal setting or priority setting. I always like a little bit of an overall overview. Crawling through multiple boards to get an overview is okayish. I don't have a very hard feeling on that one.
What do SIG owners think, like people managing SIG boards?
I think so. The suggestions is moving out to just this board, right?
Yeah, basically.
Like in different tabs like this, or would it all be in the far left tab?
It could be.
I guess it is all just one board, but with filters, right?
It is open, so those view 11, view 12, and 6 stack guidance tabs are kind of tests. There could be tabs customized per SIG, or we could just use the tabs that work best and filter by labels. But the idea, the details are a bit TBD and should be implemented to help the SIGs, of course, but the main idea is to have just one place to track.
Yeah, I like that, because then we can look at the entire sprint as a whole instead of having to go to each board and accumulate each issue, right?
Harshad, Maya, any thoughts?
I think it's a pretty good view and facilitates seeing what other things are doing. I like it too.
Yeah, from my side also, I'm okay with it, but I will definitely have my view. I will not be doing filtering on other tabs. That's the only thought from my side.
Yeah, and a quick note about this. You can filter temporarily and add that label as long as you can click save. Like right now, there is this blue dot on the sprints tab. This means it's visible only now, but if you click save, it will make it persistent. So, and it will change the view for everyone. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Then I'll offer my help to migrate. On a related note on that topic, I also was mentioning about having, it was mentioned in the CMBI call yesterday that we could treat the CMBI feature as a working group, right? And there is also a CMBI board. So if we go for this single place, single board, maybe we can also have a lightweight working group for CMBI. Lightweight being, maybe we can just have a label. I don't know if we need a whole, working group definition and all that stuff. We can, but for now, I added this pull request to add a working group label for CMBI. So the idea would be to label issues with that working group label and then only use the planning board and filter by that.
Oh, makes sense. I think lightweight or not, full blown or not, having at least in mind there's a working group taking care of all the CNBI open data hub facing things is a good idea, because it gives focus to us. It gives a little bit more context to people. At the same time, always remembering there will be other parts of the team. If we are thinking about how can we make Tamos output easier to consume in the CNBI, that might not be part of the CNBI working group work, but it's also important. So I guess it gives a little bit better understanding of who's working on which part and giving better focus to people. I like that. Well, hopefully everybody likes it, and because that should be the goal. Give a little bit more context, give a little bit more focus. If it's not fulfilling that, let's rethink.
Awesome. Any other topics, questions? We have 4 more minutes. Awesome. Thanks a lot for joining and for your time. See you all in chat.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.